Hi, I am doing the video for 12th grade English, and this is Tuesday, October the 6th. Today we're looking at advertising when it's not harmless, when it can be harmful, either because of a loss of money or in some cases a loss of enough money that it's actually impairing of somebody's life. So we'll start small and we'll kind of gradually get more intense as the lesson goes on. The first is this. We started with a quick discussion of earthing mats. I brought this up because it's a product. It's something you can buy at Amazon or whatever. It's like 40 bucks. And it was recommended to me by my county, by Albemarle County Public Schools, because in their insurance newsletter, they sent this out saying earthing or grounding is something that you should be doing. It's when your body comes into direct contact with the natural charge of the earth, and can be achieved by walking on natural ground barefoot or by using earthing mats. This practice restores your body to its neutral charge and reduces inflammation and prevents a host of diseases. Now, what you're not going to get out of me today is an opinion about whether or not this is true or false. But what I wanted to at least present is this is exactly the kind of product that I would research. I would read that and go, what? That sounds dubious. I don't believe that, because I don't have enough background knowledge to really even know how to fit these statements into my mind. So I would research. I did research a little. I just clicked through the newsletter to this website they gave us, and I found this study, Science Direct study, that made some more claims about what earthing can do. It has an abstract where I can learn more about how it helps the body restore its natural charge and the electrical imbalances that we accrue throughout the course of a day. And then images of people who have used earthing mats before the earthing mat and after the earthing mat. So I just read through, decided I would learn a little bit more about it. In the end, it worked on me because I bought one. And my doctor recommended it as well, so I had another reason to. I'm still skeptical, but I have one, and I'm just trying to track whether or not it's actually doing anything for me. So I will become research, because I have this now personal anecdote. I'm not going to give you an opinion now. I just don't feel like I have enough information with my earthing mat. So in a way, I am not a great example because I bought one, so I'm exactly what they wanted. But in a way, I'm also representative of a bit of anecdotal research that you can conduct to figure out whether or not the product is something you would trust. And we'll get into that a little bit today with reviews. And then we looked at this example of another product that is more widespread. And I did show and tell with my shampoo. So this is my shampoo, Suave Rose Oil Scented. I buy cheap stuff. It's what I just have always done. And the directions on the back say lather, rinse, repeat. And I wondered, why should I repeat? So really, research just starts with that question of, hey, why? And I can't find a good reason why I should. Except that the advertisers who are making these bottles recognize if I were to repeat my shampooing every day, then I would double the amount of shampoo I use. And thus, I would need to buy shampoo twice as often, spending twice as much money on shampoo, which would increase their sales by twice. So it's a sneaky little trick that is not itself wrong or immoral, just a little suggestion they're giving that might end up creating a lot of profit for them if people believe it. This is a little song on Friends where Phoebe writes a song about lather, rinse, repeat. I'm not going to play it on the video. You can play it on your own if you like. And this article from Fortune magazine back in the 90s kind of goes into, well, what's going on with lather, rinse, repeat. It does cut off at the edges, so I'll try to kind of center it and read you what it says. So in this one novel, it's kind of a joke that this lather, rinse, repeat thing has become such a trope in our society. And the character in his novel doubles the shampoo sales overnight by adding that word. So it's a little bit of an old wives' tale. The truth of it is in the 50s, when they put that on shampoo bottles, people didn't shampoo nearly as much as they do now. They were shampooing once, twice a week. They just didn't shower as much as people shower now. So that shampoo and rinse and repeat was helpful just to get all the oils out of people's hair. But then they realized over time that it actually wasn't as necessary. Shampoo technology increased so much, there was so much improvement that now there's really no need. Also because now people do tend to use those people who use these products, something like Suave, they don't necessarily need to do it every day, but they do. So the other thing I learned that I thought was really interesting is it says when cleaning agents in the shampoo come up against a certain amount of oil, it depresses the lather, so there's less lather. And they realize customers really like lots of lather, makes it feel like it's working, when the opposite is true. If there's lots of lather, it means there's not as much oil to break down, so your hair is probably already clean. So it was an interesting piece of trivia that I got that is allowing me to be a little bit more scrutinizing of products that lather. Soap and shampoo, if they're not lathering as much, it's actually a good thing. So research, just a tiny bit, that makes me a better consumer of those kinds of products. So little examples, right? Tiny examples. What about when it gets a little bit more extreme? What about when it gets to the point of a scam? And I'm going to set up a couple of channels of scams for you. So the first channel is people who are willfully deceiving you. The trope of the Facebook Nigerian prince that is trying to get you to pay that person $10,000 over their checking account, and it's a scam. They were always trying to get your money. There was never anything good about it. They're trying to dupe you. The second type of scam is when people don't actually know that they're scamming you. It just kind of grows in its intensity, and after a while, the thing they're trying to sell you is no longer something they can deliver on. And then they get caught in a scam, but they don't back out, they just plow ahead. This is the basis of most Ponzi schemes. The person running it actually thinks they're going to make all that money to pay it out to people. But after a while, that becomes no longer possible, and yet they can't back off. So they double down. That kind of scam is more common, maybe, in some ways, because we do it a lot, where the person who's selling deceives themselves into thinking, this is really good. This is what I'm doing is really good. Both things are something you should be watching for. So we'll look at one example of that. And before we do, an example of, it's fiction, but when it's not so bad, the sort of the lighter side to selling a product to get what you need out of it, which is money. So here is Parks and Recreation. It might not play. If it doesn't play, don't worry about it. Just watch the rest of the video. All right, so I like this because it's not exactly evil, right? Donna's the character who speaks at the end and says, this woman knows business. And I think that's what we're trying to understand here, that it's okay to be savvy. If in fact you are entrepreneurial and you want to make money, there's a certain romanticism or delicacy to advertising that's going to try to convince people, you want this, you need this. The examples we looked at yesterday, some of them were playing with that, some of them were true or trying to be that, like e.l.f. Cosmetics. This can be you. And they're trying to sell a narrative. I think that's how products work, and I don't think it's necessarily wrong. It's just that as customers, I need to be really aware of what it's trying to do to me. Trying to sell me beef milk for $60 a gallon? Come on. No. But Donna is right to point out this woman knows business. If you make something exclusive like this, people will want it. And the example I have of that is a scam. So this is the Fire Festival. A little bit of background. It's not started as a scam. The guy who began this festival, music festival, Billy McFarland, really had a vision. He wanted all of these people to come to his island concert where he would have glamorous tents and fine dining, and people would camp out in these luxurious accommodations and get to hear all these impressive musicians, all of it for a ridiculous price, $50,000 a ticket. That was his vision. The problem with it is he could never execute the vision. He kept getting more and more investors pulled in and more people buying tickets. But himself, as the planner, he could not deliver on the promise. And yet he couldn't back off either. He could have at one point said, oh my gosh, the whole thing, it's fallen apart. I have to call it out and return the money. But he couldn't. He was in too deep, and he couldn't get past the vision. And as a result, he is now serving 6 years prison time for what became a giant fraud. I'll show you a clip of the video. It's 2 minutes, and hopefully it plays with copyright.
From brand names to the women who create them.
That's right. Industry Queens is our first.
I don't think it's going to work. Okay, so if you're watching this on my video, you can go to the slides and watch the trailer. It's really interesting. The whole thing is on Netflix, and it's going to show you how the whole scam fell out from under his feet. So questioning a product, what can you do? Well, you can research, just like I did with the earthing mats. Just a little bit of research goes a long way. You can read reviews, so we did that in class 2. We went on to Yelp in second block, and we looked at a couple of reviews of restaurants just to see, well, what are other people saying? And if they're giving it a negative review, well, what is negative? I'd like to know. Did they try to go when there was a massive snowstorm and they couldn't get in? Or is it a real negative review, something valid? If they're giving it a positive review, similarly, what are they really glowing about? Is it the same things I value? I recommended Consumer Reports as a non-biased medium where you could learn, well, what is the best product out there for what I need? They're not paid by advertisers. You have to pay $30 a year to be a member of the organization, but as a result, you get objective views into some pretty expensive products. So I recommend that if you're buying a car and you don't have anywhere else to go or ask, if you're buying more expensive items like TVs, vacuum cleaners, things like that. And then we talked a little bit about reviews. We ended on this idea of where they might be trying to get you specifically, a senior in high school. And I don't think I'll be able to play this video because of copyright, so you'll have to go into the slides to watch it yourself on Vimeo. This is an example of DeVry University. They gave you here, if you click on statistics, gave consumers this ad that suggested or claimed outright that 90% of its graduates got a career job after graduating from DeVry University. But when you look into it a little bit more, you realize they had to pay out $100 million in a settlement because of their deceptive advertising. I think this is a case where they didn't mean to go out and deceive willfully, but they wiggled with the truth a little bit, cut corners here, cut corners there, and ended up finding that actually the final statistic, 90% of its graduates were in careers they wanted to be in, was doctored. They had somebody working as a waitress at the Cheesecake Factory and claimed that that was the job that she had wanted with her business degree. So the evidence doesn't bear out the claim. So we looked at that because it's you right now, if you're thinking of going to college, to just be a really wary consumer. What is the college selling you, and do you want that thing? Is it a good fit for you? Okay, your STEM for today, it's still before, after, if statements. This time it's more negative in its spirit. Before, advertisers manipulate their audience, and then after, and if. Put this in your big Google Doc for Tuesday, October the 6th. Finish the sentences and make sure you have appropriate comma placement. Thank you very much.